Welcome to Quick Minute with McLaren, and we're wrapping up our series right here of our segmented solid tire skid steer solid tire test against our McLaren solid skid steer test. And it's been an amazing, surprising, unexpected difference in how much better the McLaren tire performed. Again, the purpose of this test was to make sure whose tire was better, whose tire outperformed, because there's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet. And if you read off our competitor's website, it says that tires of ours and similar like tires perform less in mining, don't perform as well in scrap yards. I mean, there's a whole list showing that this tire is superior. So we wanted to test it. So this is what we've got. We've done the test. Again, 7.5 hours of accelerated testing. Again, accelerated testing. So, I mean, you're not going to get this wear on average unless you do our course. I mean, if you do a figure 8 course, load the machine up with 65% of operating capacity and do figure 8s for 3.5 hours, you're going to get these same results. Same thing, if you have a very harsh environment off-road course, as we use for OEM development and testing, and you run 4 hours, you're going to get the same results. So, what we wanted to show you, and this is the key point, is a comparison to show you in the exact same test and equal testing grounds. We've rotated on our figure 8 every 30 minutes, the directions, and switched directions every 30 minutes to make sure everything was even. We wanted to show you the difference in the results, and that's the reason for this video and the wrap-up of this whole series. We tremendously outperformed the competition, and the results are here. Okay, and if you want to follow this test, we can upload the whole test so that if you want to try it yourself, of course, it'll cost probably about $5,000 because you got to buy 2 sets of tires and then put them on your machine and then run it. But you can get the same test. So if you want to come take a look, let's take a look really quickly at how much of a difference it made. You can see here how much smoother the tread of the McLaren is. And let's just pan over and see a quick comparison how rough and jagged the wear is, where big chunks were taken out. And you can see there's not much tread left of this tire. I mean, you can see it's about 1 finger, where you can put 3 fingers of tread still left. I mean, that's biting. You know, and it goes to one design. Design was the first major issue that we saw with this tire. There was no crown, no tapers. Yeah, we did have some comments on our video where the crown wears down, but if you design the tire properly, the crown can last for a significant amount of time. And you can see the edge of this tire. It did not peel down as in our previous test. So go look at our previous videos where this immediately in the first 3 hours, this was all the way down the edge. There was no flat surface coming up anymore. But ours, we still have the same similar shape as original, and that's because of the way that the tire was designed. We're not wasting a lot of rubber prematurely because we have a good design of the tire, which again, we've been developing over 2 decades. So the next thing that came up that made this tire less of a competitor is just the compound. You can see here very clearly between the 2 tires, exact same testing time, exact same testing condition on the exact same machine, rotated every 30 minutes, and you can see what the difference is between these 2 tires. You can see it's getting cut, it's getting chunked, it's getting ripped, it's getting torn. Much worse, where you have a very smooth and even wear on the McLaren side. Here goes one big cut. So you can see, I mean, we've been in that same hard, rough, harsh terrain, but look overall how much better our tread is. You know, we're not just picking one section of the tire. I mean, this whole tire is very consistent in the way that it looks. And more so on this tire. It's the same way consistently cut, torn, ripped, and jagged because of the poor rubber compound. And you can see here, I mean, and that's the whole tire on the same test. So you can see there what's going on and how this is just such a different type of compound. To me, it's not really developed for off-road. It's not developed for anything that has any rock to do with it. And the reason for this whole video to start up is on this competitor's website, there's a blog, and that blog states that their tire outperforms solid skid steer tires similar to McLaren's. Now, our name was mentioned before, and we wanted to buy their tire to test. I would say after a few phone calls of us attempting to buy where they refused to sell to us, we've even tried to buy under other third parties to get the tire for testing where they felt there was a connection. They still didn't send to us. Luckily, we had a very good connection in Canada, able to buy the tire for us. We got the tire from them, and we were able to test. But before that, they took the name off of their website, McLaren, and for obvious reasons, because they knew we were going to test and see what the results were. So we decided to continue the test, see what they were talking about, because they're still stating tires similar to ours are not performing as well in many different fields, such as mining, scrap yards, recycle yards, different hard surface, concrete conditions, okay, and in dirt and traction. Well, I can tell you one thing: if you run this tire, this is going to last longer, and you're going to have more productivity, because if you take a look at the side here, wearing about the same amount of time, I think we've got double the life of the tire, and you're going to have traction for double the life. So you can see here from the side, I mean, there's just nothing left here. You know, that's just down to the nubs. When the compound's this jagged and that bad, it's just going to continue to fall apart. Where you can see the McLaren, we still even have our logo on the edge. And again, that's a contribution to the design, because if we didn't have a taper and crown, this would already be down to the nub, which didn't happen because of the design, the flex of the tire, and the overall performance. So that's one thing that we wanted to make sure that you understand. This was a comparative test on an accelerated test field, and in order to show how these tires perform in extreme conditions, you can see the results here. The winner of this test is by far and without a doubt the McLaren Nu Air tire. So if you're gonna get skid steer tires, make the best investment. We have millions of tires that we produce in our history, and hundreds of thousands are working globally every day in the construction field. Buy McLaren skid steer tires. Go McLaren, go extreme.